Welcome to practice. We're going to begin laying down, and I've got a blanket. I made a little, like a baby bolster shape. You could roll something up, and that's going to go underneath it. I'm going to lay down. So we want the blanket to tuck the tailbone up a little towards the ceiling so the lower back gets to sit down towards the floor. And legs in Baddha Konasana. And if this is a very intense feeling for the inner hamstrings, the groins, you can make your blanket or your towel, you can roll the edges in so they really support under the femur bones, the top of the thigh bone. And then relaxing your spine. Finding your breath. As you make this space for your practice, for tuning into your body and your breath. Allowing the legs to really feel relaxed. The upper body, arms and hands. Noticing that we bring tension into this lying down posture from the movements we've been making already in our day. So noticing how we feel. And giving yourself a big metaphorical hug of compassion. Good, and then gently bringing in your arms and your legs, and take your blanket out to the side and hug your knees into your chest. And we're going to hug the knees wide and rock a little bit from side to side, observing how the hip joints feel with that movement. Good. And then happy baby pose. Take your arms on the inside of your legs, and you can hold your leggings or your ankles or your feet, and take the knees as wide as they will go, so your lower back is in contact with the floor and rocking from side to side. Now, as you rock, you're going to start to straighten the leg in the direction that you're rocking. If you roll all over to the side, that would be okay, so long as you can roll back up. But just exploring how that might feel awkward, feeling the tightness of your stretch resistance, keeping your back really comforted onto the floor. Good, and then come back to center so the torso is reasonably still, and then try straightening both of your legs. But we keep the knees wide, keep the knees close as you can to the floor, and feel your lower back pressing in. And the flow of breath as the belly expands and deflates. Beautiful. All right, let's release the legs. We're going to put the legs straight up and relax your arms onto the floor. Your upper body is relaxed. And start to draw a circle with your inside edges of the feet staying together. So we're taking the toes around. See how the core of the body switches on. The further the legs are away from your center, the harder the work. So spend time in this circular movement where you need to. Make the circle as big as you need to for it to feel like it's effectively asking of the abdominal muscle, and then the other direction. And breathing. Oh. Nice work. Release your feet down onto the floor, hip width and parallel. We're going to lift the torso up off the floor now and just put your elbows down onto the floor. Good. Lift your feet off the floor and you're going to press your feet away from center just as much as you've really got the core of your body switched on. So it doesn't have to be all the way out to straight. Good. And we're going to keep the core of the body really stable. And let's just draw little circles with the feet. Keeping your upper body nice and relaxed. Keep the neck long. Neck relaxed, face relaxed, throat relaxed. If it's really, really hard, you've probably got your feet out a little bit too far from your center. So find that sweet spot where it's challenging to work, but you're not tensing your upper body. Did I say other direction? I hope I did. Good. And then we're going to lay back down and just paying attention as you let tension go from your body. Where was that? For me, it's always the neck, trying to find that gentle release. Okay. So now we're going to put the hands behind the skull, interlock the fingers, and so your head is really resting into your hands. Elbows out nice and wide, and lift as much of your back, upper back, off the floor as you can. Press your lower back into the floor. And you'll already feel for the front core of the body switching on, those deeper core muscles. Good. And then, can we draw a little circle with the head? But don't make that movement come from the neck. So keep the neck relaxed. See if the movement can be from the core of the body, the struggle of the ribs and the belly, and keep breathing. Here, the higher you lift, the heavier, the harder the core muscles have to work. Other direction. Ooh. Good. And then lay back down to center. come back into your happy baby pose. So really nice way to rest the back, stretch the hips, to feel generally comforted by these movements. All right, take the knees as wide as you can and your feet as wide as you can. Feeling the expansion and deflation of the belly. A little rocking from side to side. Good. And then bring the feet in and roll over to your right side. And come up to sitting. You don't need your blanket. And we're going to sit with the soles of the feet together and hold on to something, your knees, your ankles, your toes. And we're going to gently rock from side to side. Good. Even exaggerate the movement from side to side so you could almost roll onto the floor. I wonder what would happen if we did. Oh, I'm going to give it a try. And then trying to roll back up. That's the tricky bit. In fact, it's beyond me this morning. Rocking a little from side to side. Nice work. And coming into forward Virasana. After that little detour, finding the flow of breath. Good. We're going to lay on our tummy. So look forward at your hands, elbows out wide, bring the chest and the tummy along the floor. And rest your head onto your hands. So hands under the forehead. Press your feet down, lift your kneecaps, squeeze the buttock muscles towards the center of your body, but keep the lower back long. So the buttock muscles squeeze in, but the lower back stays long. Good. And you're going to lift your head and your breastbone off the floor. Good. So really active in the legs, feeling the legs and the spine lengthening. Feeling the flow of the breath. Good. Rest your forehead onto the floor now and the hands back beside you. If any of these get too strong, go back to the first one we did, head onto the hands. Palms facing up. Lift the head, the breastbone, as many of your ribs as you can. Lift your palms, reach the fingertips back. Good. Press the feet down, squeeze the buttock muscles. Lengthen the lower back as you lift your torso. And then breathing deeply. Nice work. As you lower down, let yourself be longer. Turn your face to one side. And really just rest. You might find the breath starts to get deeper now. Good. Back onto your forehead. Lifting again. That lovely lengthening feeling in the body. And lift the legs as well. Feet, knees, thighs, buttock muscles squeeze, lower back lengthens, lift the palms. Fingertips reach back. Salambasana. And then lengthen. Turn your face to the second side. Letting go. Good. And then hands underneath the shoulders. Head onto the floor. And we're going to start to straighten the arms. So keep your elbows in, so arms parallel, legs parallel. Press the tops of the feet down again. Squeeze the buttocks again. Lengthening the belly, lengthening the breastbone. I haven't got my arms all the way straight. It would be too much of a squish in my lower back. I'm keeping my lower back long, elbows bent. Looking up. Some people can comfortably straighten the arms here. Mm. Mm. Beautiful. And we're going to press up into all fours from here. So lifting the hips. Let's just sway the hips from side to side. Start to let out any tension around the hips, the lower back. Give yourself a nice big stretch from side to side. Good. When you come back to center, we're going to come up into downward facing dog pose. Heels up high, knees bent, but let the armpits open and sway the hips from side to side. Now you'll feel the armpits, the sides of the ribs get a nice stretch. Good. And then come down and rest into child's pose. Taking a few breaths to find the flow of your breath. Feel that flow of movement and understanding in your body. Good. Arms forward, forward virasana. All fours. Tuck your toes under. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Downward facing dog pose by lifting your knees away from the floor. Okay, we're going to press the heels down. But allow the front of the chest to lengthen. The head to just hang down. Find each fingerprint sharing the weight and transfer the weight from the outside of the hands to the inside of the hand, the base of the index fingers. Sway the hips a little from side to side again. Find that extra stretch for the side rib and the armpit. Now, as you sway left, take your right foot behind the left leg and reach as far as you can to the outside of your mat. So I'm right off the mat with that foot. Good. And then come back to center. And then sway the hips to the right. Take the left foot now behind your right leg and reach as far as you can. And we're going to keep going from side to side. Nice big reach. Stretch where your body feels like stretching. Good. Next time you do that, right foot going over to the left, the right arm can come all the way up off the floor. And then back to downward facing dog. Hips go right, left leg goes out to the right, and left arm lifts up off. One more on each side. Just enjoying where you're able to move to. Downward facing dog pose. Press your heels. And then child's pose. Resting your hands, arms, shoulders. Finding the flow of your breath. Bring the arms forward into forward virasana. Elbows down on the floor now, and walk your knees so they're about hip width. The bigger the distance from from elbows to knees, the bigger the stretch for the shoulders. We're going to take the chest towards the floor here and finding that flow of breath. Notice if the elbows want to slide out. Mine definitely do. Just trying to keep them parallel, but taking into account any shoulder injury you may have or have had. Be very compassionate towards yourself. Good. We're going to bring the hips closer to the floor, so probably need to walk your knees back so that your belly is off the floor. If you need to rest your hips down onto the floor, do so. Otherwise, try and keep them lifting. Feeling that nice work in the core of the body. Let's make a circle with the hips. And then the other direction. Really stabilizing by using all of the core of the body. Good. Lay your hip back down. Good. Hands underneath the shoulders and lift up into that back bend. Bring the elbows together. Press the fingerprints down. Lengthening the belly, lengthening the breast. And press up into your all fours. And then child's pose. Nice work. From here, we're going to come up to standing. So think about how you move to do that. I'm going to tuck my toes under, roll back over the feet into a squat, and stand up. Coming to the front of the mat and standing into Tadasana with the feet hip width distance, feet parallel. Urdhva and Uttanasana with a healthy spine. The bones of the spine stay forward, not poking up to the ceiling. Find your stretch where your legs really resist. You can have your hands on your legs or the floor and start to bend one leg and straighten the other. Exploring that sort of walking on the spot. The feet are on the floor. Stay on the floor. Good. Now stretch both legs to where you can. So you're feeling that big experience of the hamstring stretch. Good. We're going to keep the bones of the spine forward, and we're just going to draw a circle with the top of the head. So the whole torso is moving, and you can feel how the core of the body, front and back, the side, need to stabilize for a healthy spine. Good. Feeling the breath. Don't squash the back of the neck. Keep that nice and long. And then the other direction. Tuning into your stable core of the body. The bigger the circle, the harder the work. So you take the work that you need. Back to center. And let your body just be floppy. So bend the legs a little bit. Let your head just hang down. Even if the bones of your spine poke up for a moment here. Let's just try and take some deep breaths. even though the organs will be a bit squashed. Good. And then we'll roll up, keeping the legs soft. Ooh. And arms up. And Tadasana. Inhale, arms up. And Uttanasana, healthy spine, bones of the spine forward. Good. We're going to bend the knees enough to put the hands on the floor. Step your left foot back, that shorter distance where you can keep your left heel onto the floor. Bend your front leg. Good. Now we're going to bring the front leg to as straight as it will go without tensing the bones of the spine up to the ceiling. So whatever that balance is for you. And then let's draw a circle with the whole torso again. So imagine the pencils in the top of the head. We're trying to draw a circle in the air beyond the top of the head. All those little movements you might notice in the hip as well as the core of the body. And the other direction. Ooh. Enjoying your flow of breath, your big compassionate hug to yourself. Nice. Same to yourself, finding stillness, finding the stretch in the front of the legs, but also the healthy spine. Good. Now we're going to lift up and sweep your left leg forward so you're standing on your right leg and you're balancing. Bring the hands in front of the heart and press them, draw the shoulder blades down. And we're going to feel around in the air with the left leg. Not sure what we're looking for, but we're going to try and feel all the way around the standing leg in a nice big circle. So I'm moving my ankles and my foot and my toes, getting my plurals wrong. Good. And then when you place that foot back down, do that with the intention of landing hip width and parallel. Tadasana. Urdhva Hastasana. Upward facing hand. Uttanasana. Standing forward bend. Bend your knees enough to reach the floor with your hands. Step your right foot back. Find your right heel pressing down onto the floor. You need a distance, maybe not a leg length from front to back. From side to side about hip width. Try to keep your legs parallel. Good. We're going to take the torso in little circles again. So if you had the pencil in the top of your head, you're trying to draw a circle. And we're trying to find enough of a stretch in that front leg. Ooh. A stretch that doesn't create tension for the spine. So do your circle in the other direction and try to find that stability, and it's stability in movement here for the spine. Stable core of the body. Come back to center, to being still. See how much you can straighten your front leg. Bones of the spine embedding forward. Beautiful. And then we're going to lift up and step forward in one smooth movement if we can. Hands in front of the heart, lift up the right leg and reach around. We're going to try and reach the toes. So you're looking for something in the dark with your toes. Ooh, a big circle right around your standing leg. So all the way out to the right, all the way behind you, even behind the standing leg. Keep the foot moving, keep the toes moving, the ankle moving. Good. Testing your balance, I hope. Coming back to center and have the intention of putting that foot down hip width and parallel. Tadasana. Mountain pose. Feel the spine lengthening, the shoulder blades reaching down. Lifting the front of the thigh. Lengthening your lower back. Broadening the chest, turning the upper arms out, palms in. Beautiful. Take your feet, I'm going to turn this way, you can see. Your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Toes turned out. Good, hands in front of your heart. We're going to squat. Turn the toes out so the feet are going in the same direction as the knees want to go. Just check that that feels okay on your knee. Good, and you're going to squat just as low as you can without the heels coming off the floor. So that might just be a little way. It depends on your knees. Some people can squat deeply. Now, when you get to where you're going, lift up a little and lift the pelvic floor, lift your breastbone, looking forward, and press into your heels. Squeeze the gluteus muscle, the buttock muscles towards each other and lift up. Nice work. 2 more of those. So finding your squat, just checking in, might just be a little way that you go, that you've got healthy knees. They feel good in the same direction as your toes. Some people can go deeper. Keeping your heels on the floor. But don't go further than that. Don't go to where they lift up. Keeping the heels down. Good. And when you get to where you're going, lift up a little bit, lift the pelvic floor, lift the breastbone, press into the heels powerfully as you lift up. One more. Could I say one more? It's hard work. If you want to bring your feet closer together, you can. That's generally a more difficult movement, but not necessarily for you. All right. Heels stay down. Lifting your breastbone. Lifting up a little from there. Squeezing the buttock muscles, pressing into the heels, and coming up. Nice work. And that is to warm us up for attempting to sit down without using the hands. Now, don't do that if you know it's going to make you fall over. But if you get down into your squat, you're pretty close there. Try warming your feet up a little bit more. So I'm just going to swing my legs from side to side and finding the flexibility in my feet and ankles. And then see how you go. That last little bit. Still eluding me at times. Right, sitting up onto a blanket. Finding the flow of your breath. Feeling the balance of the spine. And when we can feel the spine balance, it feels like the breath flows easily, like there's an energy flow in the body. If we're struggling to try and sit up, maybe our hamstrings might be tight, and it feels like a struggle, it's very difficult to feel that flow. So sit higher. So you can double your blanket over and sit a little bit higher. Finding your flow. Breath of messages from mind, body, energy. Okay. We're going to draw a really big circle with the top of the head. So we're going to swing the torso all the way around the hips, even leaning back. So it's a big journey for that core of the body. Front, back, side, hips. You make your circle as big as feels effective for you, nourishing for you. Let's go in the other direction. Also, I'm going to swap the cross of the leg. So taking a bigger movement as you need. We're traveling through those points of resistance. Okay. Sitting back up now, feeling that slow breath. Finding ease in your upper body, shoulder blades relaxed. We're going to forward bend and use your hands behind your hip or on the floor in front, wherever it helps you to reach forward. And we're just going to hold that forward range of movement for a few breaths. And this is different to be still, to be very close to that feeling of resistance, of challenge and awkwardness in your body. Letting yourself find that. Feeling comforted by the breath. Trying to embed the bones of the spine forward. Good. We'll come up just enough to change the cross of the leg. Find your forward range of movement again. Preparing to be still and to explore that feeling of challenge. Be okay with that feeling. To find the flow of breath in your body. That little bit of room on the exhalation that might allow you to bring the bones of the spine further forward. And coming up. That's good. We're going to lay down for a moment. Bring the legs bent and you're going to hug your left knee in. And if you can reach your left foot with your right hand, you can have a straight leg. Otherwise, you're going to hold your knee. And we're going to roll over to the right side. Give yourself a stretch. You might be able to straighten that leg if you started with a bent knee. And we'll take the left shoulder blade back, reach the left arm back. Good. Find that core mobility, strength as you come back up. And then we'll do the other side. So the legs start off bent, unless it's an easy reach for you, hand to foot. And then we roll over to the left side. Take your right arm back. Try to keep the right shoulder blade on the floor. Good. And then back to center. And releasing. Taking a moment to find your spine. Take your legs down to straight. Finding your breath now. If you're able to stay here, that would be a nice thing to do. If, like me, you need to finish your practice, bend in your legs and roll to your right side and come up into a seated position. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Take the feeling of namaste.